G'day guys, it's Ben and Simon. Welcome to another episode of the Pumped On Property Show.
Yeah, we just spent 12 minutes talking before we started the podcast, and then we're like, we should probably restart the podcast because it had nothing to do with what we're planning to talk about today. But we've just been vibing. Like, I've just had a week off work and it's given me a lot of time to just focus on myself and think about myself. And Ben's just had this injury which has kind of stopped him from doing a hell of a lot of stuff, and just giving yourself that time to kind of think about the bigger picture.
I highly recommend a holiday for anyone out there that's a bit wound up at the moment. I think a holiday, man, is the bomb. Like, what were some of the things that you got out of the last week? Because I feel like you've just been dropping bombs in the office yesterday and today. Just vibing again and back to yourself.
Yeah, just fully vibing for myself. And that's kind of where this podcast comes from. We want to talk about 7 habits of successful property investors or successful people, because I think it's all about, you know, the lifestyle that you live, the things that you do, the choices that you make in your daily life to achieve what you want to achieve in the future. But this last week, it's something that I need, and you know that. Like, I'm not the guy that can just smash homers out of the park every single week and just grind away week after week after week. Like, I really need to retreat. I really need, like, some time to myself to recharge those batteries and just get back to feeling in flow. I just spent like the whole week, we were in lockdown throughout that, it was the week of lockdown, and I fortunately live about 2 k's from the beach, so I just cruise down to the beach every morning after people get out of the water, surf for a couple of hours, come back, have a big brekkie, sit out in the sun, read a book, do some meditation, do some yoga, play with my little dog.
I love it, man.
Just hang out with my partner Tay. Like, we did this thing at the start of the week where we went to the shops. Well, we looked through the cookbook and then we went to the shops and bought a whole heap of ingredients, because we're like, we can't go out for breakfast, lunch and dinner. Had we been going on a holiday, we probably would have gone out for breakfast, lunch and dinner a bunch of times. So we're like, we know how to cook. Let's actually bring like the restaurants to us. So we at least,
you guys both can cook good too.
Yeah. So every day we cooked at least one meal out of the cookbook, and it's something that we'd never tried before. Something that you would probably get if you're at a restaurant.
Wow.
And like, we'd sit in different parts of the house as well as we were at like a restaurant. So sit at the servery bench, or we'd have a picnic out the back.
This is the bath night.
Couple of it. Nah. Scrap that, Jay.
She's not scrapping that.
Like, what I kind of recognise is just life is good, number one, and everything is about perspective. Like, everything is about the way that you view the world. Like, what's happening outside has absolutely no impact on how you actually interact with the world. And that was probably the biggest realization, because there's a lot of fear going around. There's a lot of negativity in the media and on social media, everywhere. It's negativity and really stark opinions, and it's just kind of wild. And it was good to just take that time to get back to myself and just realize that, like, okay, cool.
Hear your voice, right?
Exactly. Like, just hear my voice and realize that, you know, this is I can control the way that I feel and interact with the world.
I love that, man. Like, I've definitely been hearing my voice for the last few weeks, and it's either like, dude, you're on the way, or it's like screaming. Because it's like, I'm like such an active person, man. Like, I reckon if you like put a step meter on me, like, I'd be doing a half a marathon a day, just because like me and the kids, it's just like skate, tennis, handball, bushwalk, like swim, spa, running around the yard, kicking the ball, or then it's like beach, skate, or like, and to not really be able to do that. Like, I told my hand therapist that I'm like skateboarding and playing tennis, and she's like, Ben, it's supposed to be in the sling for 6 weeks before you even pick up a pencil. And it's like, oh man, I've been playing like tennis with this.
Throwing my kids.
Yeah, literally. But I think what this has given me, like what Simon's got, is just rest, recovery. Like, I've been sleeping for like 10 hours a night, and I've been sleeping during the day, and I've been just doing the movements that are healing me. Like, I've got a bit of a banged up knee and a wrist at the moment, so I'm just doing the stuff that's working for them. And like, taken all the pressure off the long stretching sessions or the you've got to do this and that. And as I've started to take the layers off what I thought I had to do, my internal voice has fully kicked in, and it's just been like, chill, like rest is important, like what do you really, really want? And what I really want and how I have been living for a fair while now is like not super congruent, but congruent. Like,
and that's life though,
that's
right?
life.
Yeah. You're never sort of in line. And we actually were talking about this the other week because it's like, it's so funny. Maybe it was you or Dad, I can't remember. But I was like, your body has a funny way of like forcing you to where you need to be, right?
Without a doubt.
And so with the knee and the hand, it was like, okay, well, you just needed that time to chill the hell out and start focusing on these things, to start getting that clarity back. And, you know, same thing sort of happened with Mum. She injured herself to kind of work through some emotional and mental things. And it's crazy how the body has a way of just like, if you're not going to do it yourself, I'm going to force you to do it.
Without a doubt. And it's taken me back the same as you found last week. Like sometimes you forget how beautiful and important like meditation or daily movement or having meaningful relationships with the people around you can be for feeling great, or just eating good food and making those towards decisions that we talk about all the time. And it's like, I'm so excited about this podcast because this isn't like your standard things that like you're going to read in a book. This is the stuff that is working for every single person that I know now. The most important thing... Oh, sorry, bro.
I was just going to say, every single successful person that I know in my life, and I don't judge a person's success on the money that they have in the bank. I judge their success on how well are they living in alignment with their goals and values.
It's exactly what I was going to say. Like, I was like... Success as a definition, society defines success as like who's got like the lowest body fat and the highest concentration of muscle in certain parts of their body, or who's got the most successful job or the nice car or the best, most profitable business or the most impact. And it's like, fuck all of that.
Yeah.
What does it mean for you? And like, I'm going to define it for me because I've just done this like last week. It is meaningful relationships with my friends and family and making time for those great people in my life. It is about connecting with those people and having fun, and that's it. From a health perspective, it's moving like a kid. Like I finally found this guy in America.
Oh yeah.
I cannot wait to start his program, which is kind of like gymnastic bodies or knees over toes. It is just gorilla and bear crawl and crab and just simple stuff that opens everything up so that you can move properly. And what I've found is that I don't want to stretch or weight train. I want to move, and I'll be flexible and I'll be strong because of the movement. And it's the stuff that you do. Like we're recording a video and you're doing a handstand next to me and holding it for 30 seconds and then crawling around, and that's why you move so good. And then from a business perspective, success looks completely different to what my accountant in the world is telling me, and that is small number of great people each month. Enjoy that time with them and build a meaningful connection, help them change their life for the better, and fucking kick ass with what we do. Like, become the best for us.
Yeah, the best. And we do hold really high expectations of ourselves, and like that's just the way that we've always lived. Like even from being young kids playing sport, we always wanted to be the best on the team. We always wanted to be in the best team.
I get so pissed off when I wasn't the best on the team.
Yeah, me too. And I never was either.
I'd like seek the best team and then want to become the best and get pissed off when I wasn't, which was like every team I ever played for.
Yeah. And that's awesome, but like that's just a goal of us, and I love all of that, man. Like it's sick that you always break it down into different aspects of life, because life is different, it changes, and you need to be a different person in different aspects of your life as well, to kind of maintain that flow. And you know, I guess success to me is just being a happy person that can do what I want when I want. Like that's really what success means to me. And like I see myself as successful now because I can do that. I am a happy person and I can do what I want when I want. And hopefully I can continue that for the rest of my life and you know, create more of what I've already got. But every single successful person that I know in my life does all 7 of these things on a consistent basis. And I guess that kicks off the first one, which is consistency. I think all successful people, all successful investors are consistent, and they're consistent in every single aspect of their life, when it comes to health, when it comes to wealth, when it comes to business, when it comes to family. There is that consistency there throughout the entire journey.
I love that, man. Like Jim Rohn used to say, how you do everything.
How you do anything.
How you do anything, sorry, is how you do everything. And
Yeah.
my dad always used to say this to me as well. He's like, just slow down, and if you're going to do something, do it well. If you're going to buy something, buy quality. And it's like, I could hear that when I was younger and just trying to tear my way through to where I wanted to be, which like was the slow way of doing it versus some things we talk about. But consistency is everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you define success as like holistic and like, you know, like you've got a great relationship with your partner if you have one, or your kids if you have them, or your business or your colleagues or your friends or your health or your like spiritual self, like it doesn't mean going crazy. It's like just show up a little bit. Like this morning I'm going to jump on the bike, and I said I'm going to stay on for 5 songs. I chose 5 songs that were hell fun. I stayed on the bike, and then I got off, and then I'm like, okay, my mind, I didn't have the greatest sleep. I'm going to have a bit of meditation to get in a good headspace. Yeah. And it's like, that's health for today done. Like, I don't have to do anything else.
And it's the consistency. It's like on the bad days, still showing up. Same thing for myself. Bit of a weird night's sleep last night, and I am an absolute piece of shit when I haven't had a good night's sleep, by the way, everybody. So do not try and talk to me if I'm tired. But
sorry for the guys you got to speak to this afternoon.
No, I'm fine now.
No, sorry.
But I was like, I don't want to, you know, I don't want to like get up and get going, but I knew that I needed to, because I've consistently done this for my whole life, and I know that all it takes is 30 minutes and you're back. And I just threw on some meditation music, jumped in the car, just listened to the meditation music, drove down to the beach, shirt off, boardies on, middle of winter, onshore breeze. It was a little bit cloudy up here today, probably only like 17, 18 degrees or something, and get straight out onto the sand, water over my feet, and start like doing qigong, which I don't even know how to do any qigong. I'm just like copying some videos that I've seen, just like moving my arms around,
that's all
breathing.
Someone else did, man. They're just like, oh, this feels good. Oh, this is like energy.
People are walking past, looking at me going, yeah, these guys are bloody crazy. And then just went for a swim, freezing cold in the ocean, stayed in there for like 5 minutes, just catching the shoreys, got out, moved my body around a little bit, went for a run up the beach, and I'm just like, boom, instantly, 15 minutes, I'm completely back. And the only reason I can do that is because I've consistently had a morning routine. I've consistently done things like this for the last probably 2 years now, which isn't a massive amount of time, but it's long enough to create the habit, create the ritual. And I know, regardless of the way that I feel when I wake up, I can control how I feel for the rest of the day, because why let one small little moment affect the whole day?
Fully. Tony Robbins talks about it like own the morning, own the day, and you can change your state simply. Yeah. So simply. But the consistent habits that I see successful investors having, you know, outside of the health and the relationship stuff and a balanced life, or like the working towards a balanced life, is they consistently save a little bit of money. Yeah. They know where their bank account's at. Yeah. They know generally within like give or take 20% where the fixed costs are in their life. They know that they need to like look at their plan probably once every 3 months or so and just check in so that they know what their next step is. And they consistently work on building and polishing their portfolio and their team so that they can get to where they want to be sooner. Exactly. And this consistency theme is going to transfer through every single one of these habits that we're going to talk about today as well. So it's like putting that consistency into every aspect of your life. And you just think about a professional sports person, how many times they've done the reps to get to the level where they're at, and they still do the reps even though they're the best in the world. LeBron James probably throws more free throws than most NBA players, even though he's the best and has been the best for the last 10, 15 years. But it's because of the consistency. It's because he is always going to do these things. So consistency is number one, and it carries through everything. And the second thing successful people a habit of successful people is they know what they want. They know exactly what they want to go and get. It's weird, man. Like this transfers, we'll talk about the property element in a sec, but I go to a restaurant, right? I can look at the menu and I know what I want. Yeah. Like I can wake up in the morning and know what I'm going to have for breakfast without thinking about it. I know which brands of clothes I like to wear.
Yep.
I know what types of like car I want to drive and
Yep.
what brand I want to be associated with, what surfboard I want. It's not, I don't mean that in like a, you know, like it's got to be this way thing or a control thing. It's just when you start to know yourself and you start to decide what you actually want and what you like and you actually think about progression, it's just going to be a natural thing that most of the noise is just going to drop the hell off.
Yeah, exactly. And I think once you know what you want, it becomes so much easier to get. Because if you're trying to do everything, or if you're not too sure what the journey is, what the path is, then you're never just going to specialize on one thing. You're never just going to focus on the one thing and do it. But if you know what you want, you know what you need to do to get what you want. And that's the third thing that we want to talk about is these people are all action takers. And once they know what they want, they know how to go and get it.
100%. Like, it is intense to become financially free through property in a 15 to 20 year period of time. There's going to be hard nights, there's going to be hard days, there's going to be tears and emotions, there's going to be anxiety from setting plans and actioning them, there's going to be delaying of gratification in many areas of your life.
People are going to come in and out of your life as well. The unfortunate part of Australian culture is tall poppy syndrome, and you know, once you get a few runs on the board, there's going to be people in your life. I talk to people every single day, their parents are telling them that they're being absolute idiots by investing in real estate. Like, things are going to change, but you need to be able to overcome that adversity and still execute and still take the necessary action to get there, because that's the hardest part, I think, about becoming successful, is like having people that you love and that you care about falling out of your life because they can't meet you on the same journey.
I watched this show last night, and then there was this Indian, like Native American Indian healer on it, and she said to this person, just let your light shine. Now, some people do not want light in their life, and some people can't tolerate other people shining brighter. So, you know, I've lost so many relationships off the back of just being myself, but it's like, it is so difficult to not be yourself. Like, just to authentically live your values and to be who you are, you've just got to like follow the beat of your own drum, and it is fucking hard to do. Like, I talked to this girl, and I know you talked to her in the last week too, but I spoke to her about a month ago when I helped her buy the property. I said congrats, and she's like, I'm like, who are you going to talk to about this? And she's like, I can't tell my mum I bought a property.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell
That's
Dad
so
because
sad.
he's the only person in my life that's going to be stoked. And I'm like, no, he's not, because me and Simon are fucking stoked for you. Like, lift people up, like focus on what you can do to serve. Like, if someone's doing better, like ask them how they're doing better. Like, what specifically is different in their routines or their consistency from yours? Put it into practice, put it into place. Like, there's so many millionaires around there that you would have no fucking idea about. Just go and ask a few of them how they're doing it.
The thing is, everybody wants to give back, especially once you reach, you know, a higher level of success as well. People want to give back. People want to help other people. So they're the people that you want to be surrounding yourself with, that you want to be talking to on a consistent basis, because they're the ones that are going to lift you up and push you or motivate you to continue on that journey and give you that sound advice that you need as well at certain points. Because, the hard thing is you're going to have relationships fall away, and you're going to get probably talked down to in some situations, which is a terrible, terrible thing. But you can't let that hold you back from being an action taker, and you can't use that as an excuse to not do what you really want to do, because the alternative is never having what you truly want, right?
I remember, like, when I bought my third property, it was just before we had our first bub Summer 9 years ago now. Like, at the time, I'd just come from like a really well-paying job to a $45,000 a year job, and Lisa wasn't working either because of the bub. We just bought our third property. That one of the properties, thankfully, in Sydney covered the other one because it was a bit positive. I had this home loan. I had this tiny wage. We had one car. It was a $2,000 Toyota Echo that we both drove around in. We had to hire from the ambulance service a baby seat because we couldn't fucking buy one. Like, I was living week to week. I'd put the stamp duty for that third property on a credit card because I was all in and I was having a ball. Nice. I wasn't thinking about what I was missing. I wasn't thinking about the money that I'd just lost from changing industries. I was like, I'm loving learning a new thing. I'm loving saving like the $300 a week out of that wage that we could and going down to Bunnings and buying some paint.
Love it.
And like, I remember Lisa, like once she walked out of Bunnings accidentally with like some paint that she didn't pay for because she had baby brain, and like, I'm going back and paying for it because I just don't want to deal with this shit. Like, I'm like, we would like that. And like on the weekends we're painting and we're gardening and
hustling.
Like, we're making it happen. And then we sold that property. Like, in that property, I got another job, which my base was like 80 grand plus bonuses. And I had a little side hustle online marketing thing I was doing at that time that was getting me like a bit, and my properties were getting me a little bit. I sold that property like a year and a half later, 100 grand profit, went and bought 2 more, and things started to turn for the better. I'm like, when people say like you can't take action because there's not enough left, it's like, I wasn't going out for lunch. I wasn't driving the car to work. I was riding. I was like, sacrificing heaps, but in my life I'm like, I'm surfing, I'm healthy, like I'm loving this stage, I'm growing new skills, and I just believed it would work out.
And you're moving forward because you're doing what you thought you needed to do to get to where you want to be. You're taking the action, you're doing what needed to be done, and you know, avoiding finding the excuses, which so many people could. They would have been like, oh, it's just not the right time in my life because, you know, just having a baby, or, you know, I've just, my income's just cut back a little bit. So you're always going to be able to find an excuse to not do something, but you really got to find those excuses to do something. And that's what we've always been great at, and that's what we want to promote. It's like having that longer term vision, understanding where you want to be in the future, and consistently working towards that goal as well. And just not getting hung up on the excuses as to not do anything, because we can all find an excuse to not do anything. But it's those people that find the excuses to do something that are going to end up achieving everything that they want.
I love that, man. Like, I think the fourth thing that we wanted to talk about is consistently learning. Now, the beautiful thing about this world is it's saturated with epic info.
Oh, and it's so easy to find right now, right? We're posting this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. You know, it is, and they're all free, right?
It's all free.
They're all free. It is so easy to access information.
The other night, right, last week, I was like, I just Googled, how do I start to slow down in my business and my life? And then this book came up by this guy. He's like a professor that was on a TED Talk, and he wrote a book called Rest. And it's like how successful people use rest to improve the quality of their life and relationships. I'm like, fucking ordered it for $15 secondhand off someone from Sydney. And I'm like, it'll be here in a couple of weeks. And I'm like, I listened to 5 minutes of his TED Talk, and it's like, I thought that like, if I stopped working hard and if I stopped overthinking, if I stopped like grinding, because that's what you sort of do at the start of your journey, that everything would fall away. But then it's like, the most successful people of all time on average work 3 to 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
And then they rested the entire rest of their days and lives. They took months off per year to reflect and to recharge, because when they were working, they were all in. And I'm like, oh, glass breaking. Like, fuck, there's another way to do this again. It's like, that was available on YouTube in one search.
It's so easy to find that. And the idea behind continuous learning, continuous improvement, what I love the most about it is you're always going to be a better version of yourself tomorrow than you are today. And if that is your intention, and if that's the type of life that you want to create for yourself, you're never going to end up in a bad position. You're never going to end up, you know, not successful. You're always going to crush it, because you're always building knowledge. You're learning new things. You're expanding your team of advisors. You're learning a new skill, and you're learning something new about the world and implementing that into your life. And I've been doing it probably for the last like 5, 6, 7 years now, since I went to university. And it's like, cool, well, I just want to keep learning. Like, once I got to a position where I was like, I can live this life and be a functioning member of society.
Not a degenerate like you were.
For too long. I can actually see how it's all going to work out. And I know that, like, I may not have it all together now. I may not be in the financial position that I want to be in now. I may not be as mindful as I want to be in the future, but I know I'll get there by consistently learning more, learning new things, listening to new meditations, listening to new podcasts, reading new investment books, talking to new friends or people that have been there, done that, and using that, learning from that and implementing it into my life. And it's worked better than anything. Like, observing and learning has been probably 100% why I've got to where I am right now.
You know, one of the things that I absolutely love about your personality, man, which I think is one of the things that you're blessed with that this is one of those 5 or 6 things that you're born with.
Yeah.
Is you are the most coachable person that I've ever met in every aspect of your life. It's like, if you hear better information, immediately pivot. It's like you don't need to experience things the hard way to learn and grow. And I think there's 2 things that are really important for learning to me. One is ask fucking better questions. Like, the world is filled with people doing extraordinary things. Like, type better questions into Google. Like, find better questions that are being answered in the podcast, listen to. Like, when you're sitting down with people that are, you know, healthier, happier, have a better relationship with their wife, are doing a better job at parenting, or a better investor because they've got more experience, and that's all it is, or they've gone internally. Like, how did you do it? Like, I talk to a good dad, I'm like, man, like, what are you doing on a daily basis? Like,
yeah, I see like an old guy that's happy, healthy, fit, functioning, and I'm like, how did you do it? Like, what were your rituals? What were your daily habits to get you to this point?
I was actually down on Manly Beach a couple of years ago with the boys. We were just hanging out in Sydney, and there was this really fit old dude.
Yes.
He was definitely on gear, but he was super fit. And I'm like, he walked past me, and I'm like, man, you're in insane shape. Like, what are you doing? And he definitely thought I was hitting on him.
He's probably used to it.
I just walk, and I'm like, man, you're doing more than that. And it was so awkward because it's like, obviously people don't ask him that.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, like, when I'm 70, I want to like look like you. And he's like, must have. I'm like, dude. And then I said to him, I'm like, man, I've got kids and a wife. I'm not hitting on you. I'm just like stoked to know what you're doing. Yeah. He still just walked off.
Yeah, Ben then followed him into the men's toilets.
Too far, man. Too far.
Always. But yeah, like I love learning, and I think that the passion for learning is probably the best thing, the best habit that you can put into place. But you got to figure out how you like to learn as well. You know, for me, it's like doing things or listening to things. You know, I like listening to YouTube, podcasts, audio books, but then I need to do stuff as well to actually learn that. But you're a reader, like you like to read.
I love reading, and I just learn from it straight away. It's like I hear it, I can apply it. The second thing I think, you know, people that end up successful in any area of their life do extremely well is they step out of their own way and they let go of that ego and that internal voice. Now, I'm not saying that it's not there. Of course it is. We're humans. We've got this reptile part of the brain that's extremely dominant, and we've got a society that's like win at all costs.
Yep.
But letting go of that and like being open to growth. Like you said something that I loved yesterday, man, and it's like, for some reason the world is so polarized right now that you can hardly have a conversation with someone without them attacking you. Like, I had a few of the boys over on Sunday. I said a few things because I was a bit wound up that were like a little bit more forward than I might say. And in a normal environment, but one of the boys was like, what I said was like really confronting, and we had like a bit of a chat about it. And I sent him a text after, it was Joshua, and I'm like, man, nothing in that from my perspective. It was just good to have a chat. And he's like, yeah, me too. And I was like, why am I being defensive? And also, why is he? And it's like, I feel like the collection of the social conscious experience in society at the moment is hot. And
it is hot.
Let the heat go in yourself and in society, and just like energetically get back to where you're supposed to be, which is like, you're supposed to have conversations that help you grow and improve, not get threatened when the belief system that you've found out about 2 days ago is being challenged by the person you've talked to about it for the first time.
Honestly, the way that I like to explain this is like, all you got to do to realize how different we all are is look at your fingerprint. There's no 2 fingerprints on the planet that are the same. There's almost 7 billion people that live here. So like, don't think that we're all the same. Don't think that one opinion should be the same as another opinion, and don't talk down or get emotional to somebody if they've got a differing opinion. That's all it is. Like, everything in life is an opinion.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a fact. It's not the reality. It's just that's the way that particular person perceives the life due to their conditioning. So don't attack somebody if they've got a different opinion to you. Be open and go, okay, that's the way that you think about the world. Why? Because this is the way that I think about the world. And let's have a constructive conversation so that we can move forward together rather than just trying to fight one another. It's so weird.
It's so weird, man. Like, I've been reading just Eckhart Tolle's book again in the last week, in New Earth, and in the first chapter he says, once you let go of the labeling associated with things, like brother, friend, partner, right, wrong, good religion, good politics, not good, healthy, evil, happy, sad, and just look at things, he's like, what you see when you label someone or a person is like not even the tip of the iceberg of who they are. Like, that person, according to him, is like connected to the source. Like, is every possibility in the universe is like that person, whether how it's manifesting at that moment is whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like, because of my brain, it's really like easy for me to label. Like, it's one thing that I do really quickly, and it's a survival thing as well. It's like, what's important in the environment, what's not, when you've got a lot of things going on. But
we like to know things too.
It does not help though to like go, that person is this box, or that person's that one, or this is success, or that's failure, or I'm not enough, or I am. It's like, what if you just let go of all of those labels and just go, wow, that person's got a whole heap of stuff going on. And it's like...
And more often than not, it is just a projection of the way that they're feeling at the moment. If somebody's got road rage, if somebody's cutting in front of you at the coffee shop line, or, you know, getting angry at you, it's more of a projection of themselves than what you're experiencing. So there's no point like attaching onto it, letting it affect you in any way. Just you have that view and go, I'm not going to judge this person. I'm just going to have compassion for this person and understand that they're going through something right now that they don't even understand, and hopefully my compassion is going to help them overcome it.
I just love that, man. Like, I just love where you come from that stuff. And I think learning as an investor is one of two ways. The way that I did it, the shotgun approach, which is just spray shit out there and
hope it sticks.
You know, eventually it will stick, because you'll put the piece of fragment back into one bullet and it will work. And then you'll put that bullet into a fucking rifle and you'll shoot straight.
You know, you get like a sniper and you shoot from 1,000 yards, mate. You're killing it. You're on fire. Let's not get into that story.
But yeah, like, it was, you know, it's really interesting, this sort of stuff. And I think learning-wise, find some people that you connect with that share your values, but also know their stuff.
Yeah.
You know, find a strategy that works for you in terms of the learning, and focus. Like, what I didn't do for the first 5 to 10 years of my journey was focus. I thought committing was like putting a leash on, and it affected my ability to be free, and it scared me being all in on one thing. Be all in on one thing. Get success out of that one thing, and that will transfer into other parts of your life. Like, for me now, property, I'm still learning about it every day.
Every day.
But I could not learn another thing about it for the rest of my life and have a very financially free life as a result of what I can do with what I know. It's like, at some point you're going to know enough about that one thing that your human brain's going to go and explore other stuff. Yeah. And there's going to be more. If there's no room for anything new at the moment, it's only because it's new. There'll be a time when you don't even have to think about what you do anymore, and that's going to flow into whatever else is next.
Yeah, exactly. And you just got to look at the person that you were 5 or 10 years ago and compare that to the person that you are today, right? Because how much changes over a longer period of time is so much, and you just got to think that is going to continue compounding into the future if you want to continuously learn and improve.
Now, this next one, man, number 5, is something that I think you do really well. You know, intuitive people that are connected to themselves do this better than people that are caught in their mind all the time, and that is feeling where you're at and knowing when is the important time to pull the trigger and when's the time to rest and recover.
Yeah, like rest and recovery is such an important aspect. You mentioned it just before. I think I mentioned it at the start of the podcast as well. And it's important to just step away from your role in life and step away from the hecticness of that role as well, because we're all high performers. We're all living these habits as well. I would say most people listening to this video are as well.
Oh yeah, like all of our clients are kicking ass in heaps of areas of their life.
But this society, again, we keep coming back to this society thing, but it promotes the hustle and the grind and overworking and not doing anything but hustling, and that's not what successful people do, and it's not what's going to allow you to have a fulfilling life in every sense of the word, because as we said, success isn't just about money. It's not just about fitness. It's not just about one thing. It's an all-encompassing idea, and this rest and recovery is going to give you the time to step away from it, to reconnect with yourself, your true self, refine those values, because a lot of the time there is a twist. Like, it's very rare to find somebody that is completely living their true purpose and values 100% of the time. Like, I just don't know if it doesn't. I don't think it exists.
There's always a twisting. It's human nature, because the second your brain is playing a trick on you to try and pull you back into its crawling along the ground reptiles shit.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. I'm sure, I'm not going to go there, but I'm sure like the most influential people in history, the most enlightened people, struggled their ass off on some days. I can fucking guaranteeing if they were sitting there, it would be the exact same human experience until 100%. It wasn't when they died.
Yeah, and there's, a couple of people that are just anomalies in the world that don't need this. We're talking about like an Elon Musk right now, or a Gary Vee, or a Tony Robbins, that just have this, who knows what it is, but like, we put these people up on a pedestal and gone, this is the type of life that you should be striving towards, but it might not be. Not everybody needs to be a multi-billionaire.
It's 100% not for me. I'm not interested in trading 100 hours for 30 years of my life.
Exactly. So this rest and recovery is going to give you a bit more of a bigger picture view, give you time to kind of reflect on yourself, the decisions that you've been making, the habits that you've been living, and go, is this what I want to be doing, or do I need to try and make some changes? And I, like, a big thing that came out of my week off as well through this rest and recovery was that I recognized that 3 of my days every single week are massive. They're intense. I give 100% of my energy every single day, and by the time I get home, I've got nothing more to give. And just that recognition of understanding that, 3 days of my week are hard and I've got to give a lot, it still means that I've still got more than 50% of my life that isn't like that, and I can focus on myself. But on top of that, what I recognize through this rest and recovery is that the purpose and the value that I get to bring in those 3 days, where I may not personally feel great within myself at the end of the day, but what I've been able to do for other people in that time, serve, give back, educate, teach, help other people along their path, is like a massive justification and a massive driving force to pull me through those tough days and tough times.
I love that, man. Like, that was really big when you talked to all of us in the office about that yesterday, because sometimes just accepting that that's how it is. It's like, if you want to have a purposeful life, impacting people for the better and showing up as your best self, it's like confronting, and it's emotional, and it's pulling like the core of who you are out and broadcasting it, and there's positive and negative to that, and it's like, and that's cool. It's like, same as you, man. Like, I know in those 3 days, it's only 21 hours of my time out of 144 or how much is a week? I should know. Whatever, it's a week.
Like, I just live in the present moment, man.
It's just like, I feel like I should know that shit. I like
24 times
I'd be
7.
like, oh, that's only 8% of my week, and then I'd be like, my little geek brain would be like, oh, it's just another data point.
Put it in a spreadsheet.
Put on a calendar, man. But it's like, the rest and recovery is super, 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 super important. I think all high achievers do this. Now, what I realized about most of the investors that we speak with, including ourselves when we started, was like the plane taking off, there's energy. I remember, like, I'm not joking, on my weekends, in my first 4 years as an investor, I'd be like, oh, I've got this hot tip from Residex about Moorumba. I'm going to call up every agent And then I'm going to look on realestate.com, and then I'm going to read all the reviews, and then I'm going to call the chick at the local fish and chip shop and ask her what it's like to live there. I'm calling a fish and chip shop or a newsagent going, what's it like there? What's the property market like at the moment? And they're like...
You need to call the hairdresser for that one.
Yeah, the hairdresser knows. But it's like, this is how I was spending my time. And I'm like, listening to all this stuff and reading all these books. And it was a lot of energy and not much rest. But what I've realised is the way that I like to live my life is the same as nature. Summer and spring are times to like set stuff up and to enjoy and to work. And when I'm not buying a property, I don't even think about property for myself. Like I've literally got my annual management to about 2 hours now collectively with everything I do because of the processes I put in place. It's like, I don't fucking think about it because it is just dead energy for me. And it's like, what if that was you? Like, what if I've got to save this year or release equity and buy? And then when the buying's done, like they say in the Tao, like, walk away. Like the master does the work and then moves on to the next thing. And it's like, you do that so good, man. Like you come into work even on your hot days. Yes, it's like shaking the energy after a fight out of your body, but then it's like you're in the next moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Quickly.
Yeah. No, but you've always been good at this rest and recovery because you've always talked about, and you got to figure out how you need to do this, and I'm still figuring out how I need to do it.
Are you a sprinter or a marathon runner?
Yeah, like
whatever works for you, do that.
Your little micro breaks, your little camping or caravanning weekends away, it might just be 4 days off in nature and you're back.
Fully.
Other people might need like a full month holiday or something like that. Who knows? Figure out what works for you and use it, because just having that time within yourself is super important to just start to map out the next steps and get back in tune with the decisions that you've been making.
I love that, man.
Number 6 is probably like my favorite and probably the best thing to achieve success, and it's having solid, strong daily rituals. I think it's the consistency of these daily rituals that get you to that next level.
We've talked about our health rituals for our mind, for body, for spirit that many times. We've talked about the things that we do consistently in other areas of our life, but I think, I want to talk about that because that's what I love talking about, but to talk about something different. Like, what are some of the daily rituals that you have in your job and our business? And what are some of the annual rituals that you have around property that I think can help people?
I love this. Now, I think for this, the daily ritual for me is I've got like a really strict inbox and calendar. And I think that helps with my mental clarity so much. So I live by my calendar. So do you, every single day. So when I get to the office, when I leave the office, I don't need to think about anything because my calendar is perfect.
It's Steve Jobs. It's like, the shirt that you're going to put on that day. So that's the decision you haven't had to make.
Exactly. And then same with my inbox. I try and keep my inbox clear, move things out. So I've got the most important things that I need to action immediately. I do that first, always. And then I put the other stuff aside and I get to it when I've got a little bit of free time. And then the last thing that I do, basically on a daily basis still, is I have like a learning and development folder. So if I get an email from SQM or CoreLogic or Phil Anderson or RBA or anybody that I'm subscribed to, I just move it straight out of the inbox. And then when I've got 10 minutes of free time or 15 minutes of free time, I'll just go and read that and just go, cool, this is just an opportunity to learn something new. And that is, one of those daily rituals that's just kept my mind clear, kept me in flow and at peak performance as well, because I know what I need to do and when I need to do it throughout the day by following the calendar. I'm not feeling clustered or overwhelmed with a massive inbox because I feed them out throughout the day and then I input some of that learning throughout the day. Well, I still like to do it on a daily basis because I like to read it as it's happening, because I talk to new people every single day. And I like just having that little gold nugget. This is stuff that most people don't see at all. And, if I can read it and I can give it to them the day that I've received it, they're getting that first-hand information straight away.
I love that, man.
What about you?
I think what you just said about calendars is so important. So when I first started out in the workforce, I would have this never-ending to-do list that I'd do from one day to the next. what we've done is gone, what are all of the components of our role, and how can we make that into a system so that you do strategic things at certain times to get the most out of your day and to take away the anxiety and the workload to manage things better. Like, I look at so many people's phone habits, for example, which, you know, and I'm just like, we just both got $15 Audi Sims.
Just non-stop notifications.
No alerts on, like, at all. It's just like the work phone stays on our desk when we leave. We don't pick it up till the next morning. Like, the social media stuff, like on my work phone, there's no distractions. It's just work. And it's like, then when I'm at home, I've got my home phone, which I hardly like I pick up about once a week, to be honest. And it's like, I don't do social media personally anymore either. It's like, I'm just, because they weren't serving me. Like, I get triggered from that stuff. And it's like, what's triggering you? Like, what?
And get it out of your life. Like, if it's a trigger, get it out. Like, social media, I think that is just a big one that we should be talking about as a daily ritual and a habit. Because if you've got people that you don't like or don't align with from a values perspective on your Instagram or Facebook, get rid of them. Unfollow them. Remove them as your friend so you don't see their shit, because what's the point of having that trigger there? Like, if you're seeing an article or a post or an opinion from somebody that you truly don't align with, get rid of it. Don't look at it. It's your choice to control what you see on your social media. Like, I went from like following at one point in time like 2,000 people down to like 500 people, and I'm constantly removing people on a weekly basis that I just, like, when they put something up, I just go, that just twists my guts. I can't stand to read that, so I'm going to get rid of it. So if they ever do it again, I don't see it.
I like it, man. It's just, I know this stuff is brutal for some people, but it's like,
it helps.
It is a choice to like cleanse and strip back. I've got this thing on the wall, it's the daily decrease, like strip away at the unessential. And I've got this other thing, it's like, to the mind that is still, the entire universe surrenders. They're both on this year's vision board. It's like, what could things look like as an investor if instead of spending that hour a day on social, like my wife, like, she can spend, like, I've seen it, phone usage, like, sometimes like hours a day on it. And I get it, like, she's a mum, it's a distraction, but
it's
I'm
normal.
Like, what is like, what's normal is not normal for me. Like, what I want is just such simplicity so that my mind can focus on the important things. Like, as an investor, I was just showing Simon, he's setting up some really cool automated stuff at the moment with his partner Tay. I've just, for the first time in 11 years, again, you're going to be doing it so much earlier.
Yeah.
I set up this Microsoft to-do list, a free to-do list. I've got every one of my addresses in it. I've got the date that the annual insurance is due, so I don't have to think about it. It doesn't send me an alert. I just look at the calendar once a month and see what's coming up. On top of that, I've got like an annual thing for each of the properties, or all of the properties in one category actually. It's like each year I want a bond clean, I want a carpet clean, I want the gardening done, a weed and feed, I want tidied up, because I'm now at a stage where I want to protect these assets for 50 years. And all I do is, when that comes up once a year, email my manager, hey Paula, hey mum, can you please organise these? Confirm when they're all complete, please. Yeah. That's it. It's like, I've got all of my properties set up the way that I want, nicknamed online with good interest rates and my offset accounts. Finally, it's taken me 11 years to finally get to that position. But by setting those things up once, done. Like, I don't have to think about insurance. When's it going to be due and how much is it going to cost? I don't have to go find my policy number if I need to call them up and cancel it because I've sold the property or because something's changing. It's just there. It's just done, and it's easy.
And especially like for you, you've got 3 young kids, you've got all of these expenses in your life. And for a lot of people, like, if you don't have that set up and all of a sudden you're hit with a $2,000 bill to pay your insurance, and then next week you're hit with a $500 bill to pay your rates for that quarter, and then the next week it's your daughter's birthday. It's like, if you can plan for this, if you can understand exactly where it's going to be, and what you've told me to do is like, get your insurances all coming out in the same month. And that's going to be a shit month, but do it at a time when you know that you don't have other things on, and you can actually structure this stuff in a way that makes your life so much better financially, where you don't have like a month where you've got bang, 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 you know, there's $10,000, it's gone unless you want it to be that way. And you're just prepared for it, right?
Can I say something that I've done to automate that? Because I think that's a big concern for me and every investor. It's like what I've done, right? Say I've got X amount of properties. I've set up one account. Every single dollar of income from every property comes into the account.
Yeah.
Every single cost that my property manager's not paying, because she pays my rates and my water now, because again, I just wanted it out of my life. I'm sick of receiving that shit.
Yeah, I don't do that.
4 times a quarter. Something you set up?
Yeah, it's already done.
Yeah, and it's like, so what I do is I contribute, I think it's $500 a month over the course of the year to this account, plus all of the income from my properties into that account. And then I don't have this, oh my God, I've got like 3 sets of insurance coming up. It's like the account is always sitting in a surplus because like my portfolio plus that contribution is making it that way.
Yeah.
No pressure. It's like a bill comes in, it's completely separate to every other area of my financial life. Money goes out, don't even think about it because I don't see money in that account as my money. It's just, that's keeping my properties alive. And if I've got $1 million worth of property that go up 20% this year, and I've had to like spend out of the account $6,000 a year, but I've made 200 grand in profit. Like who? Make it easy. Like set up a ritual that makes your life easy.
Yeah, I just did that as well. Once I refinanced and got them all together, I just set up I just call it the mortgage account. And I've got every single mortgage coming out of this account. I've got all of the rent going into this one account. I've got my property managers doing the rates, doing the insurances, which really helps. What I just haven't figured out at this point in time is I haven't calculated, because I've only recently got the 4th property, what the total insurance, rates, water, everything like that is, because I don't know what that amount is I need to put in every week. At this point, I'm just putting in $250 every single week because my properties are far more negative cash flow than yours are at this point.
Yeah. And you've got P&I on a bunch of them too, right?
Nah, interest only on the investments.
Yeah,
but it's so true. Like that $250 just goes straight into there. Then I've got my savings account that it goes straight into. And then one ritual that I've just put in place for myself is I actually don't let my personal account get over $1,500. Because $1,500 is plenty of money for me to live my life on a weekly basis. And if I get, you know, some more money come in, or that gets up to like $2,000, I'll transfer $500 into my savings account.
Love it, bro.
Or if it goes to $3,000, I'll transfer $1,500 into my savings account. And what I've realized, my savings account is going up an extra $500 per week at the moment, because I do have these surplus funds, because I've set up these accounts so perfectly and overdoing it that little bit.
I love that. Like I'm exactly the same. Like I've got my business account, I've got my, I call it my property investment account or my investment account, and then I've got personal. $1,100 a week, which covers like food and all of the like day-to-day stuff in my life outside of school fees, goes into this personal. That's it. Every single dollar of surplus goes into one of the offset accounts against the property to save me some interest.
Love it. Yeah. So there's so many things that you do. I guess another ritual that we have is, you know, sort of a quarterly or a biannually catch up where we kind of just really go into a detailed review of the market. Like a full on detailed review of the property market. So what's a 3 monthly performance been, 12 monthly performance, what infrastructure projects are coming up, what the DSR scores are looking like, what's the vacancy rates looking like, what have the average household incomes changed or moved or anything like this, and really go into a detailed review to try and identify, you know, where the next best hotspot is really going to be. And I absolutely love those days. We normally sit down with the team, we get a cake and some teas, and we just sit down, we get all this information out, and we just run through it together. And it is probably one of the things I look most forward to.
We should like, you know, because I've gotten to the habit of just doing it and then like implementing it. And I think we should really start doing that as a ritual, as a team, because it's so fun to look at that. And what has happened from doing this, like let's say that we look at 60 suburbs across 50 indicators every single quarter. I can go, that suburb is gone. That's bolted, but this one looks so undervalued. And by doing that, we are smashing the market performance, because it's like you're picking the thing that is yet to go, that is just about to, and we don't have identity attached to what we do for ourselves or our clients. So it's like, if this looks better,
Pivot, yeah.
Immediately, this like at this suburb at this time of the year, I know from 6 years of buying it drops by 50k in winter.
Yeah.
The second winter's over, 50k increase in value. Like Arana Hills, go have a look at it, guys. Like,
yeah.
When you start to know the market so well and you've got a ritual of looking at it consistently like that, and you're looking at the right stuff, and it literally could take 15 minutes to look at a suburb and 2 minutes to look at the data and go yes or no. Life changing. It's like all of what I suppose a good system of daily rituals in your life does is aligns you with your values and removes the noise and the things that aren't important.
Declutters the mind for sure. And that's what we've written down here. It's like your daily rituals should be to manage your emotions so that you can stay in flow, so that you can be like at optimum performance for as long as you possibly can. And, you know, having the calendar set up is probably the first step to get rid of the overwhelm and then working the calendar and making sure it works for you as well. Don't have unrealistic expectations. But then, you know, this is why I meditate daily. This is why I eat good food most days, probably like 70% of the time, to be honest.
Me too.
Here's
like
Jay that was over for dinner behind the camera. She's like, I saw you eat all of those chocolates last night. But, you know,
whatever, man, it's life. Like, enjoy it.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. And that's the whole thing, right?
Yeah. Just like, I've been really focusing on doing this at the moment, like being kind to myself, like I'm one of my kids. Like, I wouldn't speak to my kids like I speak to myself.
Yeah.
I just want to be kind to myself, and then by being kind to myself, like, have overflow for other people. It's like, your rituals should support you becoming the best version of yourself, not today or this month, over 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, I said this to one of the boys in the spa on the weekend, and it went down like a bag of shit. But it was just like, I was just like, what does that decision look like in 15 years? Because I can see it for him. I can already see it. And, you know, I get it, like 99.9% of humans can't see tomorrow, let alone like 15 years from now. But I cannot help it with my mind just see the compound effect of decisions on health or relationships or wealth. And it's like, he was talking about one of his rituals, and I'm like, what does the guy that's been doing that for 15 or 20 years look like? And he went, oh, well, and one of my other mates in spa was like, I've been doing it for 15 years, man, I'm fucking fine. And I'm like, sweet as, but you're the outlier, dude, because you don't have any anxiety at all. But I'm like, for you, man, with your personality, with that habit, it might be enough. And it was like, it didn't go down well at all. And like, I overstepped the mark. You know, what I was doing was transferring my anxiety. That wouldn't work for me.
Yeah.
And like telling someone that buying a house is scary, I was like trying to protect him, but really I was just fucking transferring my shit onto him for no reason, and he didn't need to hear it.
Which is basically everybody all the time. Everybody's just transferring their own shit onto other people.
And then as soon as I said it, like, I got like 15 examples of incredible people that it's working for. I'm like, but all right, yeah, like I was wrong. And it was like,
and there you go. That's what a good like open forum should be as well. It should be like, cool, this is my kind of thoughts on that particular situation, but then the collective comes together and you have a little bit of fun with it.
Yeah. The last thing that I really wanted to talk about is who you surround yourself with.
Exactly. Yeah. What we were just talking about there. Like, I think this is an important one. And what's the saying? It's like, you're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And I think that's so true. So you really got to look at your friendship group, who you're spending the most time with, and what the commonalities are between that group of people. You know, what type of conversations are you having? What type of activities are you doing? You know, they're probably the 2 things really. It's like, what type of conversations, what type of actions are you taking, and figure out whether or not that's working for you. And I would say probably one of the top 5 challenges for every single beginner investor, where they've got, you know, somewhere between 0 and 5 properties. I say 5 properties as a beginner. That's probably
like
the wrong
the top
word.
1% of people.
Yeah. It's probably more like, you know, the more beginners, maybe 0 to 2 properties, and they're like, I just don't have a community of like-minded people. I don't have a mentor or coach. I don't have a social support system that's interested in this. And I think everybody has that, and it's probably one of the most challenging things to find those people, to surround yourself with the right ones. But I think it's a massive case of letting go of your ego and your attachment to what you think is your life and actively going out there and finding it. And I've been able to do this recently in my life because I was a little bit conflicted with where I'm at in my journey. You know, I've got an amazing partner. I've got my house, I've got my investments. I know what my business is. I know what my future is going to look like. And I had a few people in my life that just weren't anywhere near that. And, you know, they didn't have a good relationship. They didn't have a steady job. They're not really working towards anything. And it was affecting me. And I actively went out there and found, engaged in these new relationships. And I've found about 2 or 3 new friends that have come into my life recently that are just amazing people that are always open to having an amazing conversation, that are always happy and intelligent enough to follow the conversation regardless of what we're talking about, whether it's business, investing, spirituality, health.
I love it.
And I went out there and found it because I realized there was a hole in my life and I was starting to like separate from certain people in my life, and I recognized that I need to go fill that with other people because I'm a relationship guy. Like, you know, yeah. I get my energy from other people. I get my energy from social environments. I'm an extremely extroverted person. So I recognized that was something that was falling away. So before it became an issue and I realized, oh, fuck, I got no friends, I went out there and filled that void immediately because I've talked to people about this.
Dude, it's so funny. You got like fucking more people than I invited to my wedding that you hang out with on a weekly basis. It's like...
It's pretty intense, but I love it.
No, but I love it too. And it's like, I think that's so important, man, because I think as you guys grow and as we grow, which we're constantly doing, like, it creates holes and opportunity for new. And it's like, you're talking about this off camera, and I really like this as well. Like, you don't need your party friend or your training friend or your property investment mate to be the guy that you invite over for a barbecue on a Sunday with your kids.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be the same person. Like,
nah.
You can have your colleague at work that loves property and once a month organise a lunch to go geek out and go, look, this is an environment, set the expectation before you start, the agenda. This is a only positive conversation space. We are not transferring fear onto each other about what we can't do. This is what I'm doing. This is where I'm at. Like, find that person where you can talk about what's in your bank account, what you're saving a week. I've got clients that are literally making $10 million a year cash American after costs that are like, man, I'm making this money. And I'm like,
time to go.
Sick, man. What are you going to do with it? Well, I'm doing this in crypto. I'm doing this in stocks. I'm doing this other business. I'm doing these properties. I'm like, whoa, like, I feel exhausted. Are you feeling anxious? He's like, nah, man, this is what I do. And I'm like,
yeah.
Don't transfer your shit onto other people. Just embrace it. Be that positive person that's like, I'm just unconditionally stoked for you, man. Because you don't need another person hammering you down if that's your property partner. Like, you know, you told me the other day that you're going to start catching up with Davo and Luke, LT, about like that.
We just did our first one on Friday and invited Maxi into it as well. It's cheers, like, boys, if you're listening.
It's like a what's Napoleon Hill call it in? Like, it's your, like,
rich or...
Oh, man, it'll come back to me. But it's like, it's that group of people. It's like the accountability team.
Yeah.
It's like...
Yeah, and it was good. Like, these boys from Sydney were reaching out and being like, look, we've got, like, these awesome ideas. But, like, we just...
Mastermind group, sorry. I knew it would come.
There you go. Yeah. It's kind of like that. That's what we've just sort of set up. And it's like, look, every Friday, or at least twice a month, but we're going to start off with doing it every Friday. Just catch up for a beer over Zoom and chat. But only positive news. Any ideas that you're having, this is an open forum to voice those ideas and get a few different perspectives and opinions back and help one another move forward. And like, two of the guys, LT and Maxi, are pretty switched on when it comes to the stock market and crypto and things like that. So it's like, we can talk about those things. And then me and Davo are really switched on when it comes to property investing, and I'm a bit more switched on when it comes to business as well. So like, it's just a really awesome open conversation, and it's just like, cool, well, we had this idea that we should probably do something like this. and we did it, and I feel great for it.
I love that.
And it's as simple as that sometimes, right? It comes back to step 3, being an action taker, not just having this epiphany, having this idea, but doing nothing about it and not changing anything. It's going, I caught up with Davo one day. That would be an awesome idea. Let's do it. We did it.
I love it, man. I used to do it for years, and I catch up with one guy for a coffee. He's an ex-client who's become a really good friend. He's been
Greg?
everywhere, Greg.
Yeah.
Earning fucking ridiculous money. Like managing now, he just got a job as like the head of Asia Pacific, which is like the second largest person in his role in one of the biggest companies in the world. He's working on the sunny coast, like managing like 10,000, 20,000 people globally now. Wow. And I'm like, there's 2 things we go and talk about. One is spirituality, because he is a lifetime down the path of that. And I love that. It's like, it might not be the exact belief system that I have, but I'm loving learning about where he's just got so much going on and is so present and happy. And I'm like, instead of just watching it and going, how? Like, why is he happy? I'm like, nah, why are you happy, man? Like, what inside the way that you think about everything being okay and fully surrendering is making this all easy for you? And like, why with the same thing, even more choices than he has, am I struggling with it? And I'm like, and so we talk about that. And then we also talk about like, I want to learn about leadership and management. You cannot scale your life without becoming good at that skill set. And this guy's managing. I've got direct access to one of like the biggest executives in the world.
Best leaders in Australia.
It's like literally the only person that could fill this job in Australia is this guy right now with his skill set. And it's like, that's sick. And it's like for years and years and years, me and my 2 best mates from Sydney would like catch up every Wednesday night. What'd you do this week? What are you planning for the next week? Yeah. Accountability. And it was, I want to do that. Like what you're doing with your mates.
For sure at some point.
I want to do it with Percy and Mac.
Like, of course.
Who is your Davo and that, and Maxie. It's like, I miss checking in with them once a month going, man, what's been really going on?
Like, I need to catch up with Macca because he's got a lot going on at the moment, and I just haven't caught up with him. Yeah, he's just gone off, which is sick. But like, I love talking about this, and I really think it's an all-encompassing model. Like, I don't think it's one or the other. Like, you can't just focus on money and be successful. You can't just focus on spirituality and be happy and successful. You can't just focus on health and be there. You can't just focus on your family. Like, you really need to find the balance between all of these different things and really find out what you want and then implement these things. Be consistent. Take the know what you want. Take the action. Continuously learn and improve. Rest and recover when you need to. Have strong and amazing daily rituals that maintain that flow. And then surround yourself with amazing, uplifting, positive people that are pushing you and motivating you to become the best version of yourself, because the combination of these things put together over the longer term is so powerful and only going to lead to one thing, which is you being successful.
You know, and that's what we really want. Like, I truly want, and my whole mission is, if you win, we win. Like, if you change your stuff for the better and start living the life that you want with the choices that you want, hopefully with a passive income in the future, everything will change. Like, consciously speaking, like, the more people that are aware of how they are behaving and acting in the world in a positive way, and not telling people about it, but living it and showing it and demonstrating it, the amount of positive impact that you can have from just doing your thing. Like Wim Hof, right? I was listening to him the other day. For the first 25 years of him doing it, for the first like 3 months, he went down in daylight hours, like when people were at the park, and jumped in the river, in the ice. After that, he was getting so much stick from people in his village that for the next 24 years,
he did it alone.
Didn't tell anyone. He was ashamed of what he was doing because it was so socially unacceptable. I hate it, but I love it too, because it was his internal voice that this feels good, and it completely changed his life. And when he demonstrated it for long enough, that it has changed the
Oh
world.
man,
for the
oh
better.
completely. Like he has such a cult following now.
In
for
100 years'
amazing.
time.
I've done it and I love it. We were just talking. I went down the beach this morning to try it. Like
Jumped in.
that was because of what I learned from Wim Hof.
Every morning, I hop in the pool every morning.
Yeah, every day I have a cold shower.
It's just like this guy will end up changing medicine in the future because people will learn from this down 30 years from now.
He's single-handedly increased like the lifespan of a massive portion of the population, like a massive. And I was even thinking that the other day. I'm like, I'm going to get a sauna and an ice bath at my house, and like it's just one thing that I always want. And I'm like, just as like we've talked about, I always have people coming over and I'm always hanging out. And I'm like, I just want that to be the thing that people do. They come over, we have a sauna, we have a good conversation, we get into the ice bath, and it's like, if my close group of friends and family come and do that once, twice a week, I'm increasing the lifespan of the people that I care about and love the most by at least a year, to some people an extra 10 years. And I'm like, that means I get to spend more time with these people.
I love it.
And it's just really cool. Like imagine how Wim Hof feels about like how much like extra life he's given the world.
It's crazy. And you know, the thing that we didn't say, but like I think this is the most important thing, and you talk about it all the time, like find happiness, fun and joy. Like, I was sitting in the spa a couple of Sundays ago with some of the boys, and we were going around like, you know, what do you want to do? And one of my mates is like, I just want to laugh more, man. Like he's like, I just want to have more fun. He's like, I've been so serious for too long, and I feel him right now. Like I've been too serious about this shit for too long and letting my mind overthink investing in business. It's not healthy to just have one or two things going on in your life. Like life is supposed to be fun, light. You're supposed to do shit that makes you feel good. You're supposed to have moments of awe where instead of seeing what's in front of you, you've climbed that mountain and you can see perspective that your life is bigger than what you're physically living every moment of the day.
Dude, it's so true. And I think it's the most important thing is finding that joy, finding that awe, finding that wonder in life, and it's so available at every single moment. You know, fortunately I'm amazing at doing this, but I think that is just the best thing that anybody can implement. And I always try and tell mum how to do that, like how you can find that awe, that wonder, that joy in life, because I think that's what's going to make us the happiest and make us live the longest.
Ryan said to me, and I fully agree, bro, Ryan from On Property recently, he said, I started to look for the joy in my work again, because I know there's a lot of you guys that aren't enjoying it. There's days that I don't enjoy in this business, like, and I'm doing my absolute purpose of my life, like, and it's still hard. So like, let alone doing something that isn't your purpose that you don't enjoy, that's paying crap. It's like, when he started to look for the joy in his day-to-day life again, everything changed. Like, it's not just this miraculous thing that comes, like, joy and happiness are a ritual, and they're searching for it. It's like, what do I enjoy? Do more of it. What do I not like that I'm doing for other people or for a previous version of myself? Cut it out and move on. You're not a tree. Like, move.
Think outside the box as well. Like, don't think about the normal things that people do to search for that. Like,
we're so weird compared to the average, and you are too, and just embrace that weirdness.
Start small and it'll get bigger from there. But I love it. Like, I love it. And thanks so much for listening again, guys. I'm so happy that I get to talk about this sort of stuff. And I'm so grateful that there's people that want to listen to this sort of stuff as well. And, you know, soon enough, I'm sure we'll be getting some listeners onto the podcast as well and starting to get some case studies. And so you can hear a different voice to mine and Benny's at some point in time, and hear about where other people are at, because obviously we're constantly talking about where we're at, what we're doing, how we're implementing these things into our lives and the closest people around us. But yeah, we want to try and create more of a community here where it's like positive talk, motivating ideas, and constantly striving to be that little bit of a better version of yourself.
I love it, man. Thanks so much for today, guys.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure catching up with you, and can't wait to talk again soon.
Sweaty, so sweaty.